Hey.
Yes. Shout out to 3 Months Cup alongside Usia. The title of the song is Pume Googs. Don't Pume Kailich. I feel like I relate to the song a little bit. But anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. This is Ekse Live, and I go by the name Awonke Dulazi, and I am not by any chance riding solo. I'm with the homie. What's good, G?
The sheriff is in town. My name is Rezah. Welcome to it. The name of the show is Ekse, like you mentioned. And thank you so much for choosing us as your source of edutainment. We're taking you all the way till 5 p.m. And obviously make sure you follow us across all of our social media pages on Facebook, Ekse and Cape Town TV, as well as on Twitter at Ekse_live. And moenie vergeet, ons het a YouTube channel up and running as well. So go ahead and click subscribe so you can catch some of your favorite episodes on there.
Yes, definitely. I know we open up the show with guys from Ikukuletu. We also have a documentary about Ikukuletu itself, the township. It's titled Guguletu 60, and the brains behind this documentary are joining us here in studio. Trust me, do not want to miss that.
Of course, they will next 8 Missy. We're also sitting down and talking about the importance of Cape Town culture as well as its history. Joining us on the yellow couches to discuss that will be the Minister of Cultural Affairs as well as Sports, that is Mrs. Andrew Murray. And also joining on in both our conversations will be our esteemed panel of guests behind us. You can clap for yourself. They will be joining us throughout the show to discuss on our topics as well.
And if you guys would like to be part of our student audience, all you have to do is email us at info@capetowntv.org. And just like that, you'll be part of our amazing studio audience and get to meet all the wonderful people we work with here at CTV.
Of course, man. And also remember, if you do want to be a guest presenter on our show, all you have to do is to send us a video not longer than 3 minutes, telling us rather exactly why we should choose you, telling us more about yourself. Wat hou jy van? Hou jy van met jou chommy speel? Hou jy van hy speel al die dinge? Send that video through and we might just choose you to be part of us.
Do tell us why we need to replace the Rezah.
It
has to be a good reason, because he's a good homie. I'm just joking. We're not replacing anybody. We're just giving you guys an opportunity to grow your craft.
Of course, man. And if I do get replaced, I'm sure I'll be making history. Speaking about history, though, we want to show you a little mini-series about the history of Cape Town. This is called Book Up, the love of Cape Town and its neighbors. Also, do let us know what you think of our show on all our social media pages. You can give us a call as well, 021-448-0448. But right about now, check this out. It's called Book Up, the love of Cape Town neighborhoods.
This building that Atlas is in is over 100 years old, and it's been built by the same stone as the castle has been built. So since 1943, Atlas has been going on. It's being well known amongst the community. We import spices from India, so we buy the spices home. We have it grounded here locally, and we ground enough so that it can remain fresh. The fragrance, the aroma of the spices is there. We get it here, we pack it. And according to our customers, our spices are pure. Book Up is a unique place. In the early years, there were the slaves that came from Indonesia, Malaysia. So they came with their culture. The Indians came with their culture. Those two cultures are totally different. And what happened, those two cultures came together as one.
We have 9 mosques here, and also the first question that comes to mind is the colour houses. During apartheid years, the people didn't own the homes, and when they did, immediately they painted them, and that's still today. So I've been doing this for 10 years, the Book Up cooking tour, teaching people to cook Cape Malay food. You know, the tradition of Cape Malay food has been kept very much the same. There is no stocks in it. It's the basic onion, tomato, masala. I have to stand behind their back, teach them to fold the samosa, and the interesting one is the roti. It twirls like a hair bun, twirl it this way, twirl it that way, slap it together, and that creates fun. It's a beautiful way to meet people from all over the world. Isn't that great?
I'm the owner of Rock Sole Shoe and Bag Repairs. My grandfather was the pioneer. District 6 and Book Up was all connected. A lot of people were taken away, and that was a disaster. It was vibrant. We community, although we were all mixed community. And in front of our shop wasn't a tarred or anything like that, but we used to play marbles there. In the road, we used to play cricket. For the past 55 years, I'm in a workshop. I love the workshop. It's challenging all the time. It's a different work daily. I don't have to have a rest. But when I'm in an office, I feel I need a 15 minutes nap.
I play for Ekse Homers. My position is a lock. All my life I've been staying in Boerkap. I was born here, and I don't think I'll even move from here. Most of the generation here in Boerkap, their fathers played. Fathers before their fathers played rugby. I've got probably about 200 and something caps playing for Ekse Homers. It brings a lot of children away from crime, and so now when they're playing rugby, it's something for them to do. Man. They can see it's more of a community like this than on the streets. The Boerkap community loves rugby here. It's very big. On the day you're doing well, they'll shout for you, my man. You'll hear it while you play. Yeah, it's big here. If you do anything bad, you will hear it for the rest of the week till your next game. They are our biggest fans, the old Tunnies. It's a tight-fit community, so everybody knows each other here. No matter where you stay in Boerkap, you'll know who's.
Banky was started in the year 2000. We were born in the Boerkap. We hold workshops. We have teachers in certain areas of the townships. We're trying to revive the art of beadwork. Doing beadwork art with approximately between 280 and 320 women in and around Cape Town, and with some of them coming from the Eastern Cape. We use all sorts of lovely funky colors, and we're doing it onto a 3D surface. But the technique of our beading is still the needle and thread and beads. It's a very advanced form of pattern making. Create a platform for our crafters to become artists within their own right. The Boerkap is so colourful and is a place of great historical value to Cape Town. There is so much richness in that area. It attracts youngsters who are opening new businesses, or anyone who's opening a new business. Cape Town is just this melting pot of incredible talent. I think it just bleeds from all the way through Cape Town. It bleeds up into the Boerkap as well.
Yo, there are a lot of people doing amazing work for their communities. Shout out to you people. We thank you for everything that you do. Right now, another person who's doing a whole lot for our community is Rezah, and who's interacting with our community members right here at CTV. What's going on, G?
Yes, man. I don't think I'm doing the most of it for the community. I'm the guy your mommy said you must watch out for, but that's not the point. We've seen the Boerkap Love Cape Town Neighborhood mini-series played on TV, and we just want to know from our audience members what they think about that as well. I'm sitting down with Tariq, and Tariq, I just want to know from you, you've seen the clip, you've seen the different markets in there, the different houses, the cultures and that. What does Boerkap mean to you as a Cape Townian?
As a Cape Townian, Boerkap means to me the diversity of the people.
Okay, and why is it important for us to remember our culture and our history and our heritage?
So that we don't forget where we come from, where we're heading for, and that we all are, I know it's enough, different.
Of course. As if it's a scam also. Of course. And I want to know from anyone else, Bubbles, tell us, why is it important for you to remember your culture and your heritage?
I think that it's important for us to remember our culture because it is who we are.
Of course.
It takes us from our roots, where we come from, and what I love specifically about the Boerkap area is that they are unity. They share a lot of things together. They grew up in the same area and all of that. So I love the unity, like I said, and Boerkap is an example of Boerkap is an example of what is dying these days, like in different areas. You no longer find that unity within people.
Yes.
it says, love your neighbor, love yourself as much as, love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Exactly.
So you see that in Bokup. The people there are very friendly. So
I love that,
it's an
man.
example.
And I love how you explain that the people is very friendly, and it's actually one of our oldest communities in Cape Town as well. And the fact that not too long ago, the people actually wanted to take over Bokup, destroy the houses and build a lot of things as that. But we're going to be discussing on the show, you know, the importance alongside our esteemed guest, the importance of our heritage, man. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Yes. You're still watching Ekse on Cape Town TV, taking you all the way till 5 p.m. It is a Thursday, it's almost the end of the week for us. Tomorrow's a Music Friday, but right about now, we're going to entertain you and keep you in the know. Right about now on the Yellow Couches, we are joined by the Minister of Cultural Affairs and Sports, Mrs. Andrew Murray, and she's here to tell us more about what the importance of our heritage means and why we should actually keep that so close to us. And welcome, how are you doing? You look lovely in pink, just about.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me back.
It's
again.
always a pleasure, man. I want to know from you, what's the importance of oral history, especially in a province such as the Western Cape?
You know, it's our duty to keep our stories alive, and
Yes.
and with our storytelling, we tell each and everyone where we come from
Yeah.
every different culture. We learn to acknowledge each other, to be tolerant against each other, and you know. And I always say, if there's an older person dying, then his whole history is just gone.
Exactly.
We don't know about it.
Exactly.
And with us, and you know, Cape Town is such a diverse, vibrant community to live in. You know, the whole community, even the whole Western Cape.
Yeah.
So that's why I just love the storytelling, to know where you've come from, and it's also a healing process,
Yes.
because there was things in the past that wasn't nice and good for our communities.
Yeah.
And still there's still sore. People don't feel they've been acknowledged what happened in the past.
Exactly.
So it's a healing process. But the most important is that we learn to accept each other where we come from, and it's something that we can build on for our future.
Of course, I love that.
So yes, how do we ensure, you mentioned that if an old person dies and then we don't know the history, how do we ensure that we capture the history before the deceased?
Now, what we did in the department, we went all through the whole province, and we asked people at our libraries to come forward, and our older people accepted, but the young people as well, but more older people came forward. And then we make a DVD, a video, and we give one to to Storytel and a family, one for the library, one for the museum, and one for the archives.
Yeah.
So everyone can go back and say, now I want to hear Auntie Sarah's story, and they can go and fetch. Yeah. So
Of
it's
course.
that how we still need to go. There's still a lot to hear, but we've really done a lot so far.
Of course. Regarding the Heritage Western Cape, I want to know, when was it formed, and what does the significance, what does it play, especially in Cape
Yeah.
Town?
It was formed in 2003, the
Okay.
Heritage Western Cape, and the significance is that it promotes and preserves our heritage, and
Yeah.
it identifies also our heritage. And it can be like a museum, a mosque, a sacred place,
Yeah.
artifacts, anything that is sacred for you and the community.
Of course.
And I think that is just the most important for me, is the preservance
Of
of the
course.
heritage.
Of course.
And if it's not important for me, it's important for you.
Exactly.
And that's why we must preserve it for our
Do you
future.
think these museums are doing enough as far as capturing that information? Do you feel like there's a lot of more information that the public can access, or they're not? What's the situation with regards to it? Do you think that they're doing enough?
I think the museums is doing enough, and
Yes.
the people is wonderful that's working in the museums. But there's still a lot to be done for to tell our communities, come. It's not
Exactly.
only an old place full of dust
Yes.
and spider webs and ghosts running around, you know. But they believe in Bredasdorp, in a shipwreck museum, there's a ghost. So
Yeah.
nobody, if they're scared to go. you know.
Exactly.
But the ghost is part of the museum anyway. But I'm just joking. But I really think that we need more younger people to come
Yeah.
forward and visit our museums, and we also mandated to transform our museums,
Yeah.
to tell our living story, and not only the past
Yeah,
and see.
yeah.
But you know, we need to transform it also that it's acceptable.
Of course.
Accessible for
and
everyone.
I actually love how you say that we need our young people actually to come
Yeah.
forward and actually go to the museums and remember where they come from. And I want to know from the audience members as well, Bubbles, I see you have the mic. How important is it for a young person to actually to know your heritage, to know where you come from?
Hello, Minister. It's very important, Rezah, like I said previously before the ad break, we need to know our roots and where we
Yeah.
come from. But I had a question for the Minister, so
Okay.
I'd rather ask the question.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
You say, Minister, that we have to preserve our heritage and our culture. However, we see in the Western Cape there's a lot of gentrification going on. For instance, in areas such as Salt River, Woodstock, and now I see that there's this cemetery gravesite at just
Grooteskie.
opposite Grooteskie.
Yeah.
I see the graves, it's old graves, but they're being dug. Rumor says they're going to build some buildings there. Why is that?
I cannot.
I don't know if I'm off topic or,
no.
but like I feel like it's part of the heritage of the people who are from Salt River or
Yeah.
any neighboring communities.
What I can tell you, if there's any digging up there, they're not. Nobody's allowed to do it because where there's cemetery, where there any, as I can say, remains of people,
Yes.
you cannot build there. You must ask Heritage to intervene.
Of course.
So if there's something like that, I want you to come forward. You can send me the information so that we can look into that.
Yeah.
Because it's not allowed according to the Heritage
course.
Act. That's also in line with our National Heritage Act.
Of course. And I
Yeah.
think obviously we
Yeah.
need to find out whether the rumor
Yeah.
that's being
Yeah.
spread is true
Yeah.
or not, because I have many rumors in my life that's not
Yeah.
true. Does anyone else have a question? I see you have the mic, Lama.
Yes, beautiful shoes, Minister. I love them.
Thank you so much.
I want to find out what does the department do to protect heritage sites? Because not so long ago we had the people of Bokap crying because
Yes.
they could have been removed from those houses. Why do people need to fight that kind of a fight? What does the department do for those kind of people and heritages?
I'm going to say the following. You know what, I really do get a lot of trouble of people that say that heritage is too strict. And I like it. We do have procedures in place to protect places like the Boerkaap. And if there's any complaints, there's a process to go through it. But Heritage first mandate is to protect. And I must say it was a hard sore for me that Boerkaap need to go through this whole process, because Boerkaap is a protective site. It's a heritage site and it's a beacon in Cape Town. So we do have the process, and Heritage always goes out, and IS Minister also went out and see what is the problem, to see for yourself, you know, as you said, that it's not rumors, that you can see what's happening,
Exactly.
and then give feedback to our heritage people.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
With the 29 rather museums are across the province, do you feel that the public yes, understand the importance of such spaces? Are you guys looking into building more, perhaps closer to the people?
Yeah.
Perhaps in Kailicha, would I ever find a museum?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. We don't have the budget now to build any new museums, but we do have the Cape Town Museum that we envisage to build in the Cape Flats or in Kailicha. We're still looking at where the area can be, and we want to do it more in our communities, closer to the people.
Yes, yes.
And I also think, you know, our museums is not, we're working very hard to make it more sexy.
Of course.
Yeah,
Of
but
course.
you know, people not really goes to museums, and I
Of
think
course.
that's why we need, as I say, we need the younger people as well. Sometimes it's older people that goes to museums,
Yeah.
and that's the perception that it's not for our young, vibrant
Yeah.
communities,
Yeah.
and it is especially for our younger people.
And I
So,
love,
yeah,
I love how the idea that you say that we want to make our museums more sexy so that
Yeah.
we can attract the youth.
Yes,
Because
yes.
at the end of the day, the youth is the future. And I want to know from you, on the 18th coming up, it will be International Museum Day.
Yeah.
What is the department planning, you know, on celebrating those type of events?
Yeah, the department is having a celebration.
Okay.
I must say I'm not sure what exactly it is because we're in a, it's a difficult one. We're in a oorgangsfase,
Yeah.
in a transform, because I'm still the minister, but the new premier must still appoint his
Oh,
new
I see.
cabinet.
Oh,
So, but we will have a celebration of the museums. Usually we use the Sendenkerk Museum
Okay.
in Cape Town. And then Awonke, Hostel 33, is also having every year they do have a function or a festival, a celebration.
I love that.
It's very, very interesting.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know what the celebration entails for an average person sitting at home.
It entails looking at our history. As I can mention, like in Awonke Hostel 33, it's just about how they've treated the people at that time,
Yes.
where they come from, how was the healing process, and how you can relate to it or not relate if you want to. It depends on yourself. But
Exactly.
it is telling our history and the story, your story of today.
Of course,
How,
ma'am.
how you experience life and how do you think the past and the future connects to each other?
Exactly, man. We have a question coming from our esteemed panel, Sibuyile.
Yeah, Minister, just two quick questions. The first one is around, because I need to give this honorable mention, the Guguletu 60, which was nominated for the best use of footage, which is going to London. The awards happening in London soon, in the coming month. And then, Minister, regarding us celebrating or us, how can I put this? Us giving notice to things like as the Langa massacre, which happened during the time of the Sharpeville massacre. I don't feel like Cape Town or the Western Cape is actually taking this serious in a way, because we always hear about the Sharpeville.
Yeah.
What about the Langa,
Yeah.
the Langa massacre? Also the one in Port Elizabeth. I think those are like put under, but the Sharpeville massacre is the one which is noticeable to everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you for mentioning that, but because it's true. We never uplift our own history, and as you mentioned, we didn't really make an effort
Yeah.
to uplift it more or tell more about the story there. And I would like you as a community, if you want us to do more for history or for the massacre there, you can come forward and we really uplift it and do something with your input for what you want to do. So we can anytime do it, and I must say thank you for mentioning that.
Of course.
Yeah.
And how does one actually go about coming forward? Is there email that they can send? Do they apply?
You
What's
can
the process?
just send the email to me or to our media. I think it's Western Cape at our website, or you can look my name and email is also there. andrewmarie@westerncape.gov.za. So, and then I usually ask our director of museums and heritage, and we look into the matter and we invite you to come give your inputs, because we cannot do it without the input
Of
from the
course.
community.
Of
No,
course.
yeah.
Well, Minister, thank you so much for joining us. It's an absolute pleasure to have you back as well.
you.
And every time you come back, you look even more beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much.
for that, man. And we want to know from you guys at home, why is it important to remember where you come from? What's the importance of that? And as we heard the topics and the questions from our esteemed panel as well, about our history, and he mentioned the museums and all of those things. So we want to know from you. Remember to hit us up on our Facebook, Ekse and Cape Town TV, as well as our Twitter @Ekse_live. And if you just came inside and you're thinking, who's this beautiful faces on your TV screens, of course, hit their YouTube channel up and running. So make sure you click subscribe so you can catch your favorite episodes on there, man. You want to say
Back
anything?
out of this? No.
Yes,
Coming
man.
back out of this, yeah?
Yeah, we'll see you on the flip side of this. Make sure you go nowhere. Keep it locked on channel 263. This is Ekse, the People's Channel.
Yes. Welcome back to the show. We're still talking everything history, heritage. Right now in the studio, we are joined by the brains behind a phenomenal documentary titled Gugulethu 60. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah,
How
please
you guys
tell us who
feeling?
you are and what the involvement is from this side to that side.
I'm Jeffrey Mamputa
Yes.
from Gugulethu, a kapana so snook and patat. Grew up in that place.
Yes.
And I like writing about township history.
Okay, so you came up with the writing and the scripting
No,
for
no.
Okay, we move along.
I'm Lauren Groenewald. I'm the producer and director.
Okay.
And I worked with the brains like Mr. Mamputa, Tuleka, Mr. Nter, on developing, not only developing, but getting the stories out.
Yeah.
So I was the filmmaker.
Molweni, igama lam nguThuleka Duze, waseGugulethu. I'm a creative, abanye bathi ndiyi-designer. Thank you.
Wow. No wonder, because you're looking fabulous. I mean.
Okay, my name is Phumzile. I'm a communications practitioner coming from Gugulethu, and I was the project director for the Gugulethu 60th anniversary celebrations.
Okay.
So we conceptualized and executed the whole campaign for the entire year of 2018.
Lovely stuff, man.
Okay.
So I'm sure everyone knows what the next question will be. The docu, how did it come about? Because I'm sure you don't just wake up and be like, today is a day for a documentary. So how did the idea actually come about?
Okay, well, it was actually commissioned by the Cape Town Museum.
Okay.
It was part of the 60th anniversary celebrations. And it really, the brief for the film was to talk about the history, but also related to present-day Gugulethu.
Okay.
So it was a commissioned film, and it was part of the series of events.
Okay. We're going to check out the trailer of the docu, and then when we do come back, we'll continue that discussion as well. So check this out. It's called Gugulethu 60.
Thina simke ngu-60 sihlala kwaZwelitsha e-retreat sazobekwa ke apha eGugulethu.
I was born at a place called Claremont. From Claremont, we moved to a place called Simonstown. In 1958, we moved from Simonstown to a place called Gugulethu.
Born in Simonstown, raised in Gugulethu.
59, 60, 61 ukuzokutsho. It was a dreadful, dreadful thing to do to human beings. Well-knit communities, totally disempowered. When that is taken away, layer by layer, what is left? What is left? Ukuza kwethu apha yayingeyonto imandi ngoba kaloku sathuthukiswa yayintuthuko yayingathi intsomo abantu bangavele nje bafunqulwe boshumi basuswe benemizi yabo.
There's nothing a person could do. A truck was just sent to pick up everything and taken to Gugulethu.
Getting onto the truck, it was exciting, thinking that we'll come back in the truck. I was 6, and that didn't happen. The entire community was moved in one weekend. Gugs was a cultural big shock.
I'm very proud of Gugulethu, after Gugulethu. That's where it all started. As a student, we would sit in this one house and listen to Radio Freedom. Old gentlemen, we were youngsters, but they allowed us to sit and listen. Very interesting. That's how we were politicized. We must not forget where we come from.
Tatam wahamba yena, I believe ke wahamba kodwa early 70s. Nda involved kwinto ze-SRC, I was a member. Sasihamba siyobamba imihlangano, kufika amapolisa, sibaleke, sibethwe, kugigiselwa i-tear gas. I remember ngelo xesha because I think ndandizama ulandela kwikhondo lakhe but landehlula.
When 1976 erupted, the parents had no, just like the government, had no idea.
The generation of 1960 had been beaten into submission. They did not even want to mention, they didn't even want to talk politics. So apartheid and suppression was not physical, it was psychological. And the Afrikaners were very good at that, to the point where you sort of imprisoned yourself. One of the most sacred things to Africans is a funeral. That's one of the things that fueled and made people more determined, where children were exposed to death. And this was the first funeral to hoist an ANC flag in 1980. Once abantu bashiye ibooks phezu kwencwaba and run for their lives because amapolisa are shooting, then abantu babe-reach a point of saying, I don't care. No fear anymore. Now, 1980 was very intensive.
Freedom is coming. Freedom is coming. Hope was painted on every face. By then, it was clear that we were headed towards Uhuru. With bated breath, like everybody else, we wait for Uhuru. But why is my heart not dancing? 1994 came. I believe that one of the first things that the new government would get rid of were the matchboxes. Progress was gonna be a long way in coming. Despite its shaky foundations, a strong community of survivors was creating a new life in Gugulethu. Sport, community projects, arts and culture were thriving despite the dysfunctional political climate. With progress came people.
They forced Baba move eKensington bazohlala elokishini, so bahlala apha. So nami ke ndazalelwa apha eGugulethu 52. iGugulethu was very rough, phofu kwa township, but mna zange ndifune ukuzi-involve kwinto ezinjalo. I was very young the time ndithanda ifashion. Abantu bakudala babethanda udressa up and then bazowalka i-NY1. Bring fashion here in township so that I can invite people who are already in this industry to come and see what is happening in the township, because we do have talent, but it's unseen. So ligugulethu, ibongolethu, so we must be proud of our township.
It is my pride, and it will forever be.
Gugulethu is home. Your home is your pride.
No place beat Cooks, with all its flaws. In Cooks, my heart is everywhere.
Yes! That was the documentary titled Gugulethu 60, man, and absolutely beautiful, taking you right through the history, even showing you the situation today, man, and I absolutely love that. And Gugulethu is not actually too far away from where I stay as well, so I feel I'm gonna go there just to visit, man. Ek voel net ek moet as in my.
That's a must watch. I need such things. Make me emotional because I don't see a much difference since then until now. Though I didn't experience half of the things that happened there. I would like to find out from you, say, how was it growing up in Gugulethu at that time, and tell us a little bit more about your time in Ekse.
Okay, Gugulethu, when we arrived in Gugulethu, there was something called Gugulethu Spice. Gugulethu Spice was sand, because when we came there was no tree, no grass, nothing but sand.
Oh my word.
And people were moved in when the houses were still wet. The cement was still wet because you were moved en block.
Yeah.
Well, if you move from Simonstown, they take 10 families at a time. As soon as they finish the next house, they put the people in. So that's when we moved in. But Gugulethu over time, as you saw in the film, there was sport, especially rugby, then there was tennis, there was cricket, and there was lots of art. Arts was from fine arts to drama, music, a lot of jazz bands, and so on. That we have lost, I think, due to technology and so
Yeah.
on. But there's a new vibe in Cooks now. I mean, as you can hear, if you hear a person from Cooks, even if you're in Joburg, I say, we did you cannot, so but except this person from Cooks. So that language developed at that time.
Yeah.
And Cooks has changed now. It's much more multicultural than it was than before.
Is that a good thing? That it's more multicultural now than it was back then?
It is a good thing because there was little exposure at that time. I mean, I think we could count the family who could speak Sesotho, Setswana, and so on.
Yeah.
But predominantly Xhosa. People spoke Xhosa or Afrikaans because we came from all District 6, Simonstown, and so on.
Yeah.
So it's now much better because you interact with people of different cultures.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. How do you feel about now, Igugulethu, given everything that it's gone through, as we saw in the film, only being famous for Umzoli?
Yep. Umzoli one brought a sense of business on a bigger scale than Amakwinya and Amancane Ngugu. He showed people what is possible with the limited resources that he had.
Yeah.
From Umzoli, you can see a lot of other people have taken the idea to a bigger level. And then you saw the mall, then you saw other businesses. There's a place called Estratwin, which is very exciting.
Yes.
You Google it. Now, it was through people like Umzoli at the time that brought about that idea. But people don't know Umzoli.
Yeah.
Umzoli was a South African champ for 15 years. His record stood for 15 years, unbroken. 42 kilometers and 21 kilometers and 1,000 meters.
Wow.
Understand? Nobody knows that side of Umzoli. So, Igugulethu is more than Umzoli.
Yes.
But we can say thanks to people like Umzoli and her father.
Of course, man.
Yeah.
I want to know, do you think that the elderly of Gugulethu are doing enough to teach the youth about the history of Gugulethu and where they actually come from and things like that as well? Because obviously, you guys were doing the documentary, you guys heard the stories, and I'm sure you guys even encountered a few youth asking them about the history, and maybe some didn't know. So is the elderly doing enough in Gugulethu, teaching the history of Gugulethu?
Okay, I like that question.
Yeah.
Because that question came to us last year in March. What we
Okay.
did last year in March during those celebrations was to have a lunch where we invited people who are 16 and above, you know, from Gugulethu. So what we wanted to get from them is the oral history of Gugulethu.
Yes.
So out of that interaction, what we picked up is that there's one thing, these people at some stage they're gonna die. So what's gonna happen to all the wealth of history that they have?
Exactly.
So that's why we thought of doing a film. That's why we are also talking of doing a book, Remarkable People of Gugulethu.
Yes.
It's another book that's going to be coming out soon.
Okay.
So that we can have that. And then for the kids who are at school, you know, people are coming to visit Gugulethu, they can get, I mean, the information about the area, you know.
Yes.
Because Gugulethu, if, I mean, Prachef is here, is the second most popular township in South Africa after Soweto. So we need to reclaim and position it where it belongs. Because, I mean, when I grew up in Gugulethu way back, you know, Gugulethu used to have things like dry clean, supermarket, and all those things
Yes.
way back before democracy.
Wow.
So we want those things to get back to Gugulethu.
Of course, man. Bubbles, you from Gooks as well. You were shouting out your favorite. Because she was like, no, the area code is 7750. You better know it. And I want to know from you, do you think that the elderly in Gooks is doing enough to teach the history of Gooks to the youth especially? I love how you just flicked your hair. Like, something's about to go down.
I would say yes, I would say no. Maybe because it's also, I blame the youth as well.
Okay.
Because I'll speak for myself. I know my grandfather is 91 years old.
Wow.
He was moved from Kensington. But I never sat down with him and spoke to him about what happened, all about the history.
Yeah.
However, I know sometimes my mother would say that during those apartheid years when they were still studying, because she went to school at IDMPs in Gugulethu. So she would tell me about all those bad experiences that they went through as students, and when they were protesting, all those protests and all those things they suffered during the apartheid years. So I would blame the youth as well, because it's up to us to find out about our history and our heritage.
Of course, I love that.
So I wouldn't put it in the hands of the old people.
Yes, we need to
It's
ask
not their
questions.
duty as
Yeah. We need to ask questions so that we learn as well while they're still alive. I want to know from a producer's point of view, especially one that didn't grow up in Gugulethu. Well, how do you prepare yourself or internalize everything that had happened, though, for lack of a better term, you don't necessarily have to experience that and you don't relate? What's the procedure preparing for such a film?
Well, I don't think because you don't experience something, you don't relate. I'm particularly interested in historical documentaries. And as Jeff said, you know, Gugulethu story is one story. There are many stories like this. So the way I prepared myself was ready to visit the archives. And this film has been nominated for an international award for the usage of the archive. And I think we have an opportunity now as filmmakers, as storytellers, to tell stories from a different point of view.
Of course.
Because that archive exists and it was used in a very particular way back in the 50s, 60s, 70s. And when you trail through the archive, you can see how history starts to be rewritten in a way that favors the dominant party of the time. So for me, it was a wonderful opportunity to access those archives and then to meet the real people like Mr. Mamputa, Mr. Mutale, Sindiwe Magona, people who have lived through all of this. And then it's not just an article anymore, it touches you. And I think we all relate to each other's stories. These are human stories, they affect us all.
Of course. Sisi, I want to know from you, there was a time that your father was in exile and you actually stayed at your grandmother's. What was that experience for you like? Because we understand that you were at a tender age as well. So what was that for you like?
When he left an empty space. But now because I had a loving grandmother and a grandfather, they closed that gap. And what I appreciated about him before he left, he was business-minded. He had a spaza shop. So I would help him after school in that spaza shop. So I think that groomed me to become this businesswoman that I am today. And the fact that over the years, he was gone. But guess what? He came back and today we are business partners.
Wow, man. That's amazing.
Yes, I want the youth, given you guys experience, the youth from that era to now, what was the significant difference and what would you like the youth of today to adopt from the youth from back then, especially in the township of Gugulethu?
Okay, I mean, what I like about the fact that I'm in Gugulethu is that so many things have happened in Gugulethu a long time ago. So the youth of today, what I like is the fact that they are grabbing the opportunities, because now in Gugulethu you see people are driving their own businesses at a very tender age, you know, and those are the things that we used to have way back in Gugulethu. So that's why I'm saying our celebrations last year, our theme was like, let's reclaim our pride, because we had these things, we need to get these things back on stage, you know. So the youth of today are thriving and they're looking to the opportunities, they're trying to grab everything, because everything is at their disposal at this present moment.
Of course, man. And what's the process like assembling a team to come up with such a documentary? Because obviously you need the correct people. Like you mentioned, you need people from the source. So what was that like, assembling the team, and what is from a producer's point of view? Because you know what the intention is, but how do you actually go about to make sure that we're getting our message across correctly as well?
Well, the film had a very specific brief from the Cape Town Museum. So they wanted us to feature on the liberation struggle, the struggle history of the township, but also portrayed in a way that was relevant today. And the archive does that. We intercut the present and the past to show you that really you can't separate the two. We are very much influenced by what went before. And then I was lucky enough to meet the team who were heading up the celebrations, and they had gone through this process where they had already spoken and interviewed a lot of people in Gugulethu. So that helped us a lot with our research process, because we didn't have to do that research on the ground. We just went to the team who then said, oh, you must meet Tuleka, you must meet Mr. Mamputa.
Of course.
So that made it a lot easier for us. It was a very, very tight turnaround. We only had 4 weeks to produce the film from beginning to end. And so you need to talk to people who were there, who actually know what they're talking about and who care. I mean, everybody who was involved in the film were very passionate about Gugulethu, so that was fantastic.
We have a question coming from our audience members. Our beautiful makeup lady, Lucia.
Makeup lady. Hi, how are you? I'd like to know, what would you like to achieve with this story being out there? Would you perhaps want to improve Gugulethu based on telling people what's happening? What's the end for having the story out there?
Okay, I think for our perspective is that our celebrations last year were more event-based, you know. There were questions that were like, at the end of the year, these celebrations will come to an end. What's going to happen? The feeling was that we've got youth, and our youth are going to multiracial schools, you know. They're coming from Gugulethu, but they do not know anything about their own area. And as I said, Gugulethu is one of the most popular townships. We still have people who are coming to visit Gugulethu, but they need to know the history of Gugulethu. So at least now we'll be able to direct them, you know, to libraries and to places and say there is, history about Gugulethu where you can get almost everything. One, we've got this video. At the same time, if you talk to people like Peter Motal and others, they've got an influx of pictures about Gugulethu. So come Heritage Month, which is in September, we want to have a place where we can display all of that and play the video and organize people to come, you know, starting from our own community so that those young kids get to know exactly what is Gugulethu all about, you know, as well as people are visiting the area.
I love that, man, and it's especially because we were discussing throughout the show the importance of preserving our heritage, man, and you guys are doing just that, especially with the Gugulethu documentary as well. So I want to thank you from the Ekse team for coming through to the studios and gracing us with not only the documentary but with your presence as well. And thank you to our audience members as well for coming through. I know some of you were shy for the camera, but hopefully you'll get over that. And also thank you to the Minister of Cultural Affairs as well as Sports, Mrs. Andrew Murray. Thank you so much for her for coming through. And thank you for you guys at home too, man, for tuning in and making us more hectic 9-9 than any other show.
Yes, that's right. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for always interacting with us on our social media. Please keep that up, because we actually do appreciate the comments. We actually read these comments. Yeah?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Of course. And you can catch a repeat of today's show tomorrow between 7 and 8 a.m. And moenie vergeet ons het our YouTube channel also, so make sure you click subscribe there. On Facebook, you're Ekse and Cape Town TV. On Twitter, we're at Ekse_live. We are out.